Hi, I'm Jake Marcum, and welcome to helpforthoracikoutlet.org. I'm here this evening with Meg, someone else who has had thoracic outlet, and we're going to learn a little bit about her story. Meg, welcome this evening. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Jake, it's so good to be here. I'm Meg, and I had thoracic outlet syndrome in 2010.
Wow, it's been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
So how did you know that something was wrong?
I would have to say that I was having a lot of pain in my left arm, and for about a month, it hurt really bad. And I went to the doctor. For some reason, I thought it was arthritis. And I wasn't having any pain over here, just on one. And the orthopedic doctor I went to did an x-ray of my hand and my wrist. And he said that he thought it was arthritis. And he gave me some like cream to put on it, like an anti-inflammatory type cream, which I used probably about a month. And I would put ice on it and heat and the cream. None of that really helped.
Yeah. So now, were the symptoms, did they keep getting worse?
Yeah, they were getting worse. And so I knew there was something wrong besides arthritis.
Now, was there something else other than just pain, or was there any swelling or discoloration or?
No, I don't really remember there being any swelling. As a matter of fact, I think I had quite a bit of muscle wasting here at the base of my thumb. It wasn't as fat as the other side. And then I noticed that I didn't have a pulse in my wrist on this side. And my husband checked it and he couldn't find one either. So fortunately, I worked for some really good heart doctors. And I had a heart doctor check it the next morning at work. And he couldn't find a pulse either. So he proceeded to get the Doppler and try to find a pulse, and he couldn't find it with the Doppler. So that kind of got everything rolling, where I'm getting a scan, an ultrasound. And then ultimately after that, I think I had a CT angiogram, I believe.
So this all happened in the span of about 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, yes, very quick.
Now, what was going through your head during that time?
Well, I don't know. I was kind of scared because I knew that it wasn't arthritis anymore and that it was more of a vascular thing and a blood flow issue. So that's kind of scary.
Did you go to the emergency room then after that, or was this all in the office?
No, I never had to go to the emergency room. Again, I was very fortunate to be able to work with a group of doctors that took really good care of me during that time. And they admitted me to the hospital right away. And then proceeded to have surgery. This was a holiday weekend, so they put me on heparin over the long holiday weekend, which was 3 days worth of heparin. And then on Tuesday, after the long holiday, is when I ended up needing a thrombectomy, and because I had a big blood clot right here. And then they had to redo my left subclavian artery. I think Dr. Fugit said it was made out of like Dacron or something like that.
Now, how long did it take for a diagnosis to be given in that time frame?
It wasn't long. I mean, I suffered with this for probably a month without a diagnosis. But as soon as the doctors were involved that knew what was probably wrong with me, it didn't take long. Maybe, 24 hours.
From that diagnosis, what were the different treatment plans that were presented to you?
I was born with an extra cervical rib on each side of the right and the left. So they had to cut those ribs out. Now I had one rib cut out at the same time that they fixed my artery on the left. And then he did not do the right one until the next year. I don't think I even knew that the right one needed to be done at that time. I think he told me later. He said, Meg, you're going to have your right one. And I was like, no, I'm going to have to do this again. And he said, well, not right now. We can wait. And so we waited, and I had it done, I think probably about 8 or 9 months later.
When the treatment plans were laid out for you, what led you to decide that having surgery was the right plan of action?
As far as I know, that was the only plan of action. Okay. There was no waiting and watching and seeing. I mean, I had no blood flow in my arm and on the left. And the right probably would have gotten there eventually as well. Even though I was not having any symptoms on my right, the physician felt like I might later. And he felt like we needed to go ahead and do that.
So could you tell us a little bit about the pain that you were experiencing both before, during, and after the diagnosis?
Yeah. Jake, it was very painful prior to the surgery with my arm, but the pain of the surgery was really bad. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Thankfully, it didn't last very long, probably about a week or maybe 2. It was pretty painful, just the incisions that they made. And when they have to cut ribs, I'm sure they have to move a lot of things aside and, to cut that. And so just that, probably the manipulation of the surgery and all of that causes a lot of pain afterwards. And I didn't want to, I'm not really one to take a lot of pain medicine. So I think they did give me some gabapentin to take, which helped. But I took a lot of Tylenol and Advil and stuff like that. Yeah.
Now, what was the type of pain? Because I know when I experienced this, I had a lot of pain in my arm from swelling. And then after I had the rib decompression, I had a lot of shooting pain throughout my side. It was essentially whenever I would take a deep breath or I would laugh, I just had pain shooting throughout my side. It felt like somebody was stabbing me, essentially.
Yes, that's what I had as well. It was just a sharp stabbing pain. If I moved a certain way or did something, or if I laughed, it would, but it was always kind of a constant dull ache, like a toothache. Deep inside.
It's always there.
Yeah.
And then when you would take a deep breath or something, it would make it so much worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, where did they go in with the incision?
Okay. Well, on the left side, I had an incision here for the thrombectomy, and then I had the rebuild of the artery and the cutting out of the rib here near my collarbone.
Okay.
Yeah. And then 8 months later, he did go underneath my armpit to cut out the right rib.
Okay.
Yeah. I will have to say that right rib and him going in my armpit to remove that rib, that was more painful than
going
this
into
whole
here.
other thing here. Yes.
So when I had my rib decompression, they went in underneath my armpit. And that was extremely painful, but it led to me being able to regain the function of my arm much quicker, and being able to do things at full capacity.
Yes.
Much in a quicker timeline, essentially.
So my physical therapy experience, it was very good. They taught me some exercises to do to help regain function and to help build the muscle that I had lost over on the left side. That did great. And, I still did my I love to do yoga. I love yoga and Pilates and things like that. So I just slowly started back doing those things. Not as hard as what I was doing before, much easier. And I still, to this day, have not gone back hard with yoga. But I do enjoy it, and I still practice yoga.
Okay. Now, did physical therapy help with the pain and help reducing that over time?
Yeah, I mean, any kind of activity that I would do, it seemed like it would help the pain. So if I missed a day of activity or something, I could tell that, don't do that. You've got to stay active. You've got to keep your arms going, keep active. Because the less active that I am still to this day, the worse the pain is. I still have a little bit of pain with all of it, but it's not near what it was.
It's much more tolerable.
Oh, much more. I mean, I can still feel maybe a little tightness here and there with certain movements that I do, but it's not sharp or stabbing or anything like that. And it doesn't prevent me from doing anything,
and
really.
That's throughout your arm? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of that too when I'm practicing. There'll be some days where I can feel it tighten up. And I know that I need to back off a little bit in what I'm doing because we don't want it to get so bad to where it's something, it becomes a problem again, essentially. Because it's something you have to live with the rest of your life. But
yeah.
So I have a little bit of tightness that occurs every once in a while. But there's certain preventative measures that I do that I know, like, if I do this before practice, it'll help me much more than if I don't do it. I can tell right off the bat. When we start doing something hard in practice, I can tell because I didn't do what I needed to do before practice to get that area ready. And so trying to stay on top of that, it's like staying active. For me, it's, if I don't do this, I'm in trouble, essentially.
Yes. Stretching helps.
Lots of stretching, especially in this area,
Yes.
opens up the thoracic cavity. And since what I do is swimming is such an overhead movement, if that area is really tight, then it causes a lot of issues for me.
Yes. I understand.
Now, you're able to still do yoga now to this day?
Yes. Yeah. It doesn't really prevent me from doing really anything that I want to do.
So prior to the diagnosis, when you were experiencing pain, how did this affect the things that you did in your daily life, in work and stuff at home?
It was severely limiting me. I had gone stand-up paddleboarding with my sister probably about a week before the diagnosis was made, and it was very painful to do that. But Dr. Fugit told me, he said, it's a good thing you've been active because, that can form collaterals that can supply the blood that was needed to your arm. And I think that's what's happened with you because you've stayed so active. But it was terrible. I mean, it was very painful.
Now, after surgery, how long did it take for you to be able to regain those basic functions, and how long did it take for you to not be limited in what you're doing at home and at work?
So I was probably out of work for, I would say, probably 2 weeks. And I went on back to work after that. I probably could have stayed out a little bit longer and it would have been okay because it was still hurting. But I think I felt guilty about being out of work, So I went probably back a little bit too early. But it was okay because my work is not that strenuous. Mm-hmm. So, I could still do my nursing in the doctor's office like I normally would. And, they gave me more time, I think, to sit a little bit initially. Mm-hmm. And, but I would say it probably really didn't take me that much time just to get back to normal, maybe about 8 weeks or so, 8 to maybe to 12 weeks or so. And then everything was okay. And then with the first surgery, I feel like I had just almost gotten back into the swing of things. It's time for the next surgery.
Yeah, I kind of had that similar feeling after I had the first rib decompression. I was out of school for about a week, and I went back to school, and it felt like I was getting back into the swing of things. And then after a week being in school, I had my third surgery. So I had to go back in, and I was out for a couple more days. So I definitely understand that feeling. So when I was diagnosed, and before that, I could pinpoint a certain activity that I did that I believe was the cause of my symptoms onset. So mine happened 2 days in a row. I bench pressed, and about 2-3 days later is when I was like, all right, there's something wrong with my arm. I feel tightness. I'm feeling a little bit of swelling. And then the next day we went in and saw the doctor. So do you have any idea, any event that you could pinpoint as to the cause of the pain in your arm?
The only thing that I really remember was about a month before the diagnosis. This might sound silly, but I was in the hairdresser's getting my hair done. And the particular hair salon where I was going, they would offer either neck massage or a hand massage while your color was processing. And so she massaged, I opted for the hand massage, and she was massaging my hands. And I felt kind of a sharp pain in my thumb, the base of my thumb here. And I thought, oh, that's weird. But I didn't think anything of it. Mm-hmm. And then that's when, it started hurting really bad. So, and I'm not blaming the girl that gave me a hand massage, but I don't know if she maybe, dislodged a little blood flow there. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's the only thing that I really recall that caused my hand and my arm to start hurting. Because I was not an athlete like you are. And so I wasn't really, besides my yoga, I wasn't really doing, bench presses and things like that.
If you could go back to yourself right as the symptoms were coming on, what would you go back and tell yourself?
I would probably, gone to the doctor much quicker, because I think as a nurse, I tried to diagnose myself, but anytime you have one limb pain, one is hurting and not the other, that signals right there that there's a problem. So I should have gone to the doctor much quicker. I should have probably went to my primary care doctor instead of just knowing it was arthritis. and going to the orthopedic doctor on my own without having any kind of referral or anything like that. So that's what I should have done.
Now, I also was referred to an orthopedic right away. I went and saw an orthopedic surgeon, and they took an x-ray and saw that there was no structural damage. They thought that it was a possibility it could be rhabdomyolysis. And so they sent me to the ER to get my blood tested. And that's when they also did ultrasound and discovered that there were blood clots.
Oh, yes, yes.
So for people out there who are listening and watching this now, what would you tell them as they're going through this process to give them some hope?
I would tell them to listen to their doctor, listen to their vascular surgeon. Hopefully they have a good one like I did and like you did. Mm-hmm. And, just do whatever they tell you to do. If you're smoking, you must quit smoking. If you're not living a healthy lifestyle, you've got to do that. And, try not to be afraid. It is scary. Just try not to be afraid. Mm-hmm. And just do whatever your doctors tell you to do.
I would add one thing to that. I would say listen to your body.
Yes, absolutely.
You know your body better than anybody else. And know that there are people out there who have gone through this, who have gone through the surgeries and the recovery processes and have felt the same way that you're feeling, whether you're feeling alone, scared, tired. There's other people who have made it through and they have become better from it. Thank you, Meg, for coming and joining us today. You're the first person who I've talked to who's actually had the arterial version of thoracic outlet syndrome.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jay.
It's very interesting to see how it presented in your hand and the different processes that you had to go to. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, we're here to give people hope who are going through thoracic outlet. And if you have a story that you want to share, please contact us at helpforthoracicoutlet.org. If you have any questions, contact us. And we're here to give hope and information to those who are going through this. Thank you.